Hello and welcome. I'm going to be telling a story. So, story time. One day I went to Barnes and Noble, and which is something you don't get a lot nowadays because there aren't many Barnes and Noble around. But I happened to find one, and I just went to Barnes and Noble. So, it's the usual. I look around in the books that I'm actually interested, which are comics and manga. And here's a funny story, because when I go to the manga section, it's like a huge section, because manga is taking over like 5 shelves, which is understandable because manga has gotten popular now. So it's pretty cool, a nice section. I've looked through it. You have some great ones. You have like the usual main ones like the Naruto, the One Piece, and the Dragon Ball. But then you have some other like B tier manga like Haikyuu and Soul Eater and Fullmetal Alchemist. While I'm not saying those aren't popular, they're not compared to they're not at the same level as Naruto or Dragon Ball, is what I mean. So I see they have like some C or B tier manga. They even have some new ones. I remember seeing Nagatoro, which the anime came out this year, and I saw like volume 8 in there. So it was a nice section to look through. So I looked through the manga section. I finished looking, and then I looked through the comics section, the Western comics, and I believe the name for the shelf is graphic novels, because comics just sounds too childish, I guess, and graphic novels sounds more mature, you could say. And the Western comic section is literally only like 2 shelves. You have manga that has almost like a circle of shelves gathered, and you could look at the front and you look at the back, and it's just manga. And then there's the comic section, which is just one shelf, front and back, and that's all you're gonna get. Which is kind of weird, but it all makes sense, right? Because Western comics have been doing well recently. So I looked through the Western comic section, and there's some alright ones. You have like the most popular, like Watchmen, The Dark Knight Returns, and then you have random volumes where they would have volume 5 of some writer's run, and then a couple of Image / indie series. And that was pretty much the section. So I stopped looking there. I walked through Barnes & Noble and see what I could find. And then there was this other section with like young adult graphic novels. And I heard stories about how DC has been making YA graphic novels, which are centered around young adults, which I assume would be people in around their early 20s. And I only looked through some of them. I only skimmed through like a couple of them because the one problem with these YA DC graphic novels is that, one, they're not really interesting, and two, they're just weird. Why young adults? I can't imagine anyone around 18 or their early 20s wanting to be interested in this. And a lot of these young adult graphic novels follow a similar format with a picture in the middle and the writer's name on the top, and which are huge, which is odd because most comics, they would have the writer and the artist a little small, and the title of the book would be big and on top, and you would have the art on the bottom. And then in these young adult graphic novels, you have the writer's name on top, and it's big as the title. And I suppose they're supposed to be like the regular type novels that you would see, like Hunger Games type. The ones that I've looked through are this Raven and another one for Beast Boy. And it's like these like teenage angst. Now, I'm sure that the Teen Titans have had their shares of teenage angst throughout their history. But the one thing that's not seen in these YA graphic novels is there's almost like no superhero action like the Teen Titans are usually facing. Most of these YA graphic novels tend to be either teenage angsty or some weird slice of life / high school drama. And the more I look at these, the more I look at the stories of these YA graphic novels, the more I wonder, who are these for? Because when I look at the characters that they use, I'm assuming that they're supposed to be versions that can help the audience appeal to. They are supposed to be versions that the audience could get into. So I'm assuming that if a person wants to get into Raven, the character, then they could just read this Raven YA graphic novel. Is that what I'm getting at? Is that what DC's trying to do? Because I would wonder if someone wants to just get into Raven, or if they want to get into Teen Titans in general, then couldn't they just read the new Teen Titans run from Marv Wolfman? I'm pretty sure it already has a collection, and you could buy it like $20 or $30 on Amazon, and you have lots of stories, some of which were loosely adapted in the cartoon. At least the cartoon took inspiration from. And then there's other graphic novels like Gotham High. And I'm assuming this is a way for people to get into Batman? If someone were to get into Batman, then there's plenty of main DC comics they could get into. So why make Gotham High? Some of it doesn't really make sense. But the point I'm trying to say is that if they want to get into the genre or into a certain character, because they're using iconic characters for their YA graphic novels, then they could just read the past comics that have existed for many years. And if you don't want to get into the runs like in the main Batman or Detective Comics, then there's plenty of quote-unquote graphic novels to choose from if you want a self-contained story, if that's your thing. Because apparently to DC, when they think of graphic novels, they think of Gotham High or I'm Not Starfire. But when I think of DC graphic novels, I think of All-Star Superman or Dark Knight Returns, Batman The Long Halloween, Justice League The New Frontier. You could argue that all of those started out as single issues and would later be collected into a graphic novel. But the point is, those read like graphic novels themselves, and some of those are like the iconic versions of those characters. Why read Gotham High when you could read Batman The Long Halloween? Does that make any more sense? I'm pretty sure The Long Halloween keeps getting reprinted, and I even saw it at Barnes & Noble for about $20 to $30 if I can't remember. So yeah, when you have these YA graphic novels which are not well written, don't have the iconic, not even the best versions of DC's characters, and there are many stories throughout DC's history which have the iconic versions, there are the ones that actually resonate with people and show why people love them, then what is the point of DC's young adult graphic novels?